welcome to Godly Geeks. I'm AB.
And I am Batman.
No.
Yes.
We've gone over this.
There's nothing to go over. I am the knight. I am the hero the city needs.
No. You're Ryan, a maniac. Ryan, my husband, not Batman.
I'm Batman.
Then where are your hockey pads?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Okay. I'm not doing this with you. Not with the voice.
Alright, fine. If I lose the voice, will you do this review?
Yes.
Alright, I'll get rid of the voice.
Okay. Anyway, well, and welcome to Movie Reviews.
Movie Reviews. Okay, that was last time, I promise.
So as you can tell, we are going to be talking about the new Batman. So yeah, we saw it the other day, and we're going to give an honest review on this movie. These are our opinions on the movie, but also to kind of give you an insight before you go and see this. So this first part is just going to be kind of giving you like what to expect in the movie. We're not going to do any spoilers. We're not going to do any of that. And then in the second half, then we'll talk about things we liked and disliked. So first off, this new Batman movie, it's rated PG-13, but we're both going to be honest, it's not a PG-13 movie at all. The language was pretty rough, said GD a lot, and we both felt very uncomfortable with that.
It drops an F-bomb within the first 15 minutes.
Yes. Just lots of cussing, believe it or not. And it was also a very dark movie.
Both figuratively and literally.
Yes, it was very dark.
It was very difficult to make out most anything in the movie.
But also in the sense of like, it was just very dark and very gruesome. And I know some people like that in the Batman movies, but for it to be rated PG-13 and kind of have the kids' toys and things like that, this is not a movie that you want your kids, or even maybe your preteens, or maybe even your teenagers to see. I would highly suggest, if you're a parent and you're wanting to know, can my child see this movie? If I had a kid and he was 14, 15, this would not be a movie that I would allow them to see. And honestly, I don't think I would allow them to see the movie anyway. If we knew the language going into it, we probably wouldn't have seen it.
Yes, it was much more intense than we anticipated. The trailers all let it out to be a typical DC superhero movie, but it was much more intense. It was trying to be a much grittier version of The Dark Knight. Which is just a little bit much.
And we love Batman. I mean, as you can tell, Batman is an awesome character. We have the Arkham games. I mean, we enjoy Batman, and we love all the Batman movies so far. And don't get me wrong, I loved Robert Pattinson's Batman, but it was the language and the grittiness and the darkness of it that just didn't sit right with either one of our spirits. And we wanted to give you guys that information to know, hey, I know you're hearing reviews about it, but you need to know about these aspects.
Especially since we went into this with very little knowledge of how bad the language was going to be.
Yeah.
Most of the reviews we've heard from were all from Christian groups, and not one of them commented on the language. So we wanted to do our responsibility and let you know that it is very language-filled. So just know this is not a movie for kids.
Yeah, and this isn't a movie we plan on seeing we might not ever see again. Can't say for sure, but definitely if we do, it will be a TV version and kind of censored.
It was the first time I left a Batman or even a superhero film in general with just a very bitter feeling in my stomach. I was just like, I don't know if I should have watched that one. Yeah. And that's saying a lot, seeing that we both saw Joker.
Yeah. Joker's language wasn't even as bad as this one, to be honest with you.
Of course, to be fair, we were going into Joker expecting it to be depressing and sad. We weren't expecting that quite as much with this Batman movie.
Yeah. So those are just the first things we want to talk about. And now at this point, we're going to kind of move past the warnings and the honest aspect of it and kind of get into some parts that are kind of spoilers. Actually, they will be, because we're going to talk about things that we actually enjoyed about the movie, things we think they could have done differently, things we were expecting and didn't get, and things like that, just kind of giving you a little overview. So if you've seen the movie, this is the part where you would probably be able to chime in. If you haven't seen the movie and you were just trying to figure out if this is a good movie to go see, honestly, if you have kids, this is not a family movie. Personally, if you don't like that kind of language, it's not a movie to see. But again, it's up to your discretion whether you see it or not for yourself.
Yes.
So, at this point, spoilers.
Spoilers and ice cream.
I don't know what this was.
I don't know what that is either.
Anywho, so I'm gonna go off and say that I actually was very shocked with the portrayal of Batman by Robert Pattinson. He actually did a really good job.
He did a very good job.
I like the aspect of seeing a younger Batman. I mean, this is year 2 for him in this movie, and I actually enjoyed how he portrayed Batman and how he kind of reminded me of the Arkham games that are on PlayStation and Xbox 360 when that was the thing. He reminds me of that Batman, but younger.
Yes.
And I really liked that.
Yes, I agree. He was a very good Batman, very intense. It was nice to see a detective story for Batman, because throughout the comics and all, he's been advertised as the world's greatest detective. But in movies go, we haven't really seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's mostly just him fighting the supervillains and the crime-fighting bad guys, that sort of thing.
Right.
Or going up against Superman, as the last version of Batman was. But we didn't really get to see a lot of him doing detective work.
Yeah, and this one was very detective-based. It was very showing him that he was still young, he was still making mistakes, still missed some things in the grand scheme of things, but he was learning and he was trying to be better, and I thought that was really cool.
I will also add on to that. I did like the fact that it did show he is still kind of early on, so like he's still got these cool moments where he's walking in, but then like he'll grapple up or like he'll jump over a rail or something and just go like sporadic, just like he's like
when he first glided in the movie, he did not.
He eats it on a truck and just goes flying, and then he just walks by like nobody saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty. That was pretty funny. And then we saw him driving the Batmobile, which was.
It's a very slick Batmobile. I like it.
It was, but when he first tries to crank it up, it doesn't. It goes like oh my gosh, and then just powers down.
Yeah.
And then he repowers up. So again, very young Batman.
But I will say that the movie did leave a lot to be desired in terms of Bruce Wayne. Mostly just because the story it's trying to tell is that he's very focused on Batman. This isn't a point in his career where he's focused on having a balance between Bruce Wayne and Batman. He's all Batman, all about the mission, taking out crime and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he doesn't leave a lot of time for Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. I think 2 things that I didn't like about this movie was how they completely redid the origin story of Martha and Thomas Wayne, and I did not like it.
I've seen some versions of the story in which they're actually end up being quite as corrupt as the rest of Gotham. It's been done well, but this one, it's just kind of out of nowhere, because it's just like Martha's parents killed themselves, and that ended up leading to some sort of scandal with Thomas Wayne trying to be mayor.
Yeah.
And then in a moment of weakness, he goes to a crime boss to try and scare him and doesn't think, maybe this crime boss will kill the reporter who's trying to expose all this.
And then they unalived the dude.
They very much unalived him.
But that was just kind of different, and I didn't like, I'm going to be real, I really didn't like the portrayal of the Riddler.
Yeah, he was a very intense version from the comics.
It felt like I was watching a Criminal Minds episode, but like way darker and could be a little bit more graphic because it was a movie. But
I want to say part of the reason they made him so dark and twisted is to offset the last version of the Riddler that was in movies being the Jim Carrey version. But they still kind of missed the ball in terms of what the Riddler's all about. He's not all about bringing down society and leveling things and being noticed by the world and having somebody recognize him. All he cares about is just like proving he's the best out of everybody. That's all he cares about. And proving himself to be better than Batman.
It was weird.
He was very intense and creepy, but that's really not.
I will say, I loved Alfred.
Alfred was a very good.
But he was only in like 4 or 5 scenes, and I was like, we didn't get enough.
We did not nearly get enough.
It was a 3-hour long movie, and we got him in like 5 scenes.
Andy Serkis as Alfred, and we barely got to see him. It was very much a disappointment.
I will say another thing that makes this movie kind of not great on the scale-wise of awesome was how long it was.
Yes, it was 3 hours long, but it could have been At the very least, it's a half hour shorter.
I've never gone to a movie in a long time where I've like been in it. I'm like, how much longer do we got? Because it started off super slow. I mean, it took like 30 minutes to really get into the movie. And at that point, I was just like, what's happening? Then we got into it, and then we like catch him, and we're like, okay, we've probably only got like probably 20 minutes left in the we had an hour left.
We're at only the 2 hour mark, and then it turns out there's this whole extra side plot of the city getting flooded and Batman having to
save everybody.
Seemed
so
and the Riddler followers.
Weird.
It just kind of felt like it was added on last minute because they're like, we need a big action piece to end this film.
Yeah.
Which, not necessarily.
I mean, there was one cool scene that I absolutely loved, and that was when Batman was in a hallway and all the lights go off, and so he's fighting all these dudes, like, you know, doing all this kung fu stuff.
And all you see is
the flash of the gunfire, and then like, you know, it was just so cool. I loved it. Yeah.
I will say another thing I did love about this movie is the fact that it delved a lot more into the psychology of Batman, of why he does it, of making them be afraid of him. Like, there's the part at the beginning where he says, "I've chosen my target specifically," and so that when they see that signal, it's not only a cry for help, but it's a warning to them. And there's all these criminals around town who like are up to performing a crime, and they see that signal and immediately they get terrified.
Yeah, and I like the detective. He was Detective Gordon in this movie. He wasn't a commissioner. He was detective.
Yes.
I liked his portrayal. I think he did a really good job. Catwoman was kind of interesting.
Yes.
I know like we've only really ever had like a couple of Catwomans in live actions, and one of them was a movie we don't speak of. And then we have Catwoman from Christian Bale's Batman, and I liked her.
And Catwoman from Batman Returns, which usually is a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah, and so her portrayal, it wasn't horrible. I felt like it was a very Catwoman.
It was very much along with. I enjoyed this Catwoman in this movie much more than I did in Dark Knight Rises, honestly.
Well, I think it was also because it was her beginning, too. She was very young as a Catwoman, so she didn't have all those cool gadgets. She didn't even have, like, a real costume. She just had, like, this half ski mask that was over her face.
Yeah.
So she was really cool. So, like,
I felt like she was a lot more whole of a character compared to Anne Hathaway's version of The Dark Knight Rises, where she just kind of there.
Yeah.
Doesn't really do much. So
again, there were great points in the movie. There were some things that were lackluster. There were some things that they didn't need to do. They didn't need the language. They didn't say GD all the time. They really didn't need to do that. I mean, I think we counted it was above the
it was over double digits. And over 10 times.
Too much, okay? Too much. And you might not think it's that big of a deal, but for us, it is because that's taking God's name in vain, and that just didn't sit right with us.
Yes.
And, you know, unfortunately, I want to see what they do with him going forward, because they did, you know, bring in Joker at the very end.
Yes, introducing yet another Joker.
So here we go. But at the same time, it's like, if it's going to be like this in the sense of the language-wise, then I don't know if I'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, because I believe that Robert Pattinson did an amazing job, I think, and I was kind of shocked because I didn't know what he was going to do, because I've only seen him in a couple of movies, and one of them was all the Twilight movies. So I was like, and that was when he was first starting off, and
I think that might also apply to the Penguin show that's supposed to be coming out later this year too. If the writing on it is about as bad as this movie, then we might end up having to pass on it.
Yeah. So, again, it's all about your discretion and where your views are and how you feel about everything when it comes to what you should and shouldn't watch. That is totally you. These are just our opinions, like I said.
We're not here to like sit here and tell you don't watch this movie whatsoever. We're just trying to make sure people are aware of what they're going into, because we were not aware of any of this going into it.
And I mean, we're not saying that if you do see this movie that you're a horrible Christian. Like, that's not it at all. We're telling you like our viewpoints and where we feel like God has convicted us in our life.
Yes.
This is something that we just doesn't sit right with us, but that's different for you, and we respect that. And you're on your own journey with the Lord, or maybe you're not even on a journey with the Lord, and that's totally your thing. So don't think that we're trying to like push our judgment on you or push our ideas or anything like that on you, because that's not what we're doing. We're just giving you
an honest opinion and letting you know, here's a heads up of what to expect. Because, again, we were not aware of any of it going in. We actually took her parents to go see it, but then about 15 minutes in, the language was so bad they ended up leaving.
Yeah.
And we don't blame them for that.
Exactly. And so It is what it is. Thought that the Batman himself was really good. The movie in itself was kind of lackluster.
I liked the cinematography. I liked some of his ideas. I just love how the way the movie looked. But overall, it just kind of left me feeling, eh.
The music wasn't the best, though. I'm gonna be real. I didn't like the music.
I don't really remember any of it. So
all I remember is the first 15 minutes. The Batman song did not stop, and it was just straight up bass and drums. And I was like, y'all don't stop. My head's gonna hurt. But that's just, again, everybody has their own personal opinion.
Yes.
And these are just ours. So we hope you guys enjoyed our review. Give us a like below. Share this with your friends. If you're a family and you want, and people are asking about the Batman movie, if they should take their kids to it, share this video with them. Let them know. But yeah, those are just our opinions. If you want to see more content or just see more reviews, because we're getting stuff out, hopefully.
Or more of me in goofy costumes such as this.
Then hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the bell. Ding, ding, ding. Because you'll get notifications when we do upload more stuff. We do have an Instagram. I do post stuff on there every now and then. I'm not super great with social media, guys. I work all the time.
As do I.
And so I upload stuff when I think about it, which is not a lot. But you can at least see when we upload new videos. I do post it there. So anyway, we hope you guys have a great day, great night, whatever it was. We hope it's a fantastical one, and we'll see.
Wait, don't you mean a bad-tastical one?
Get out.
No. Listen, I had to have one weird Adam West bat pun in there.
Have a bad-tastical day, guys. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
I'm Batman.
Okay, so give me the mask.
No!
I want to try it.
I am the knight!
But I want to be Batman.
I'm Batman!